Canada slaps $155 billion tariff bomb on U.S. goods, escalating trade war to new heights. Ottawa, March 4, 2025. Canada has fired a $155 billion salvo in its intensifying trade war with the United States, imposing a 25% tariff on American goods and disrupting $700 billion in annual trade between the two nations. What's next for this escalating economic showdown? Canada's retaliatory strike. Canada isn't standing idly by. On March 4th, the Canadian government announced a 25% tariff on $155 billion worth of U.S. imports, including cars, energy, and steel, in a direct counterpunch to the Trump administration's tariff policies. What was once a long-standing, close-knit relationship between neighbors has devolved into a fierce head-to-head battle, with the trade war showing no signs of cooling off. U.S. auto industry reels. The American automobile sector is among the hardest hit. Major brands like Tesla, Ford, and GM now face a 25% tariff on cars and auto parts imported from the U.S. into Canada, a market critical to their supply chains. With $700 billion in annual trade at stake, the disruption is profound. Models like the Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra, produced on both sides of the border, will see production costs soar, threatening supply chain stability and driving up prices for consumers. Ontario's electricity surcharge, a power play. Ontario has upped the ante with a bold escalation of its own. The provincial government announced a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S., with threats to cut off power entirely if tensions worsen. This move strikes at U.S. energy security, raising alarms about the sustainability of economic ties between the two countries. It's not just trade at risk, it's the power grid itself. Stock market jitters and economic fallout. The trade war's ripple effects are shaking Canada's economy. The S&P/TSX index dropped 1.5%, reflecting growing unease among investors and businesses. The Bank of Canada has issued a stark warning. If the conflict persists, Canada's GDP could shrink by up to 3% over the next 2 years. Jobs will vanish, businesses will falter, and consumers will grapple with rising prices. In the U.S., the fallout is just as severe, with supply chain disruptions and higher costs looming large. Auto supply chain chaos and consumer pain. The automobile supply chain is in disarray. Canada and Mexico produce 5.3 million light vehicles annually, 70% of which are exported to the U.S. Canada's tariffs will slow production, delay new models, and inflate costs. Meanwhile, U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods are driving up prices for American consumers, reducing demand in Canada and hiking the cost of cars, food, and everyday essentials on both sides of the border. Canada's PR offensive. Canada isn't just fighting with tariffs, it's waging a savvy public relations campaign. Advertisements targeting 12 U.S. states, including Florida, Georgia, Nevada, and New Hampshire, have hit airwaves and billboards, spotlighting the trade war's toll on American citizens. Timed strategically ahead of the U.S. presidential election, this move pressures lawmakers while amplifying awareness of the conflict's consequences. What's next? Deal or disaster? Can the U.S. and Canada find common ground amid rising consumer prices and supply chain chaos? Both nations are hemorrhaging economically, but a resolution remains elusive. Will leaders de-escalate, or will the trade war spiral into a broader downturn? Stay tuned as this saga unfolds. Mexico's defiant stand. A new front opens against Trump. Mexico City, March 2025. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has thrown down the gauntlet, declaring war on Trump with a fiery vow: "We will not bow down." Is this bold stance enough to sway the U.S. president? Or has Mexico ignited a fight it can't win? Mexico isn't just resisting U.S. policies, it's hitting back hard. With Trump threatening new tariffs, Mexico is rolling out retaliatory measures. As a key supplier of auto parts to Detroit, exporting over $60 billion worth in 2022, Mexico could raise tariffs, sending U.S. car prices soaring and hammering American consumers. Mexico also provides agricultural products and oil to the U.S. Any export restrictions could spike food prices nationwide, disrupting supermarkets reliant on Mexican fruits, vegetables, and meat. The stakes climbed higher when Mexico warned of a temporary border shutdown, a move that could paralyze the U.S. supply chain. Sharing a border with the U.S., Mexico holds a strategic ace, and it's not afraid to play it. Migration standoff. A humanitarian crisis looms. Sheinbaum upped the ante, refusing to act as America's humanitarian checkpoint. "We will not stop migrants just because the U.S. demands it," she declared. If unchecked, migrant flows could exceed 100,000 per month, thrusting Trump into a humanitarian and political crisis, right in the thick of the 2025 election season. The Trump administration is reportedly mulling a military control buffer zone along the border, raising legal and ethical questions about troop deployment and immigration enforcement in an election year. A Latin American rebellion. Sheinbaum's defiance, "We will live in freedom and dignity on our own land, not at Washington's command," has electrified Latin America. Venezuela, Cuba, and Brazil have rallied behind her, hinting at a regional alliance against U.S. hegemony. Can Mexico withstand Trump's pressure, or will the U.S. retaliate with even harsher measures? The answer could reshape the Americas. Canada's foreign minister fires back. The fight expands beyond tariffs. Ottawa, March 2025, Foreign Minister Melanie Joly delivered a blistering rebuke to Trump's 25% tariffs on Canadian exports like aluminum, steel, auto parts, and lumber. Canada will not back down, she warned Washington. But this battle now transcends trade, spilling into security, military cooperation, and resource control. Will Canada break free from U.S. dependence, or will Trump's pressure force a retreat? In 2023, U.S.-Canada trade topped $800 billion, with Canada importing more American goods than any other nation. Yet Trump's tariffs have sent construction costs soaring, jolted the U.S. housing market, and raised auto and consumer prices. "Canada has been a loyal ally for decades," Joly snapped. "Taxing our economy is like punishing your own people." Power plays beyond trade. Experts warn Trump's tariffs are just the beginning. The U.S. is pushing Canada to boost NATO spending, demanding greater access to Canadian oil, gas, minerals, and even freshwater reserves, like the Great Lakes. Joly pushed back, "We will not allow strategic threats to leverage our economy." Trump's claim that Canada fuels the U.S. fentanyl crisis, despite less than 1% originating there compared to China and Mexico, has been dismissed as a negotiation ploy. In a stunning escalation, the Trump administration threatened to eject Canada from the Five Eyes intelligence alliance. If expelled, Canada would lose critical global intelligence, weakening defense ties and cybersecurity. But Canada is ready, forging new intelligence partnerships with Europe, Japan, and South Korea. "We stand with Ukraine," Joly added, "and a weak deal there sets a dangerous precedent for China and Taiwan." Canada's independence push Canada is taking decisive steps to reduce U.S. reliance. New trade deals with the UK, EU, Japan, South Korea, and Mexico. Stronger NATO ties beyond Washington. Investments in cybersecurity and military tech, and tighter control over domestic resources. Canada is strong, resource-rich, and independent, Joly declared. "We will defend our economy, sovereignty, and future." Chris Rock's Trump takedown ignites a social media firestorm March 2025. In under 10 minutes, comedian Chris Rock unleashed a viral onslaught, racking up 5 million views and sparking a meme explosion on Twitter. His quip, "The cast of The Apprentice is running the world," had audiences roaring, brilliantly skewering Trump's leadership as a reality TV farce. Shared over 2 million times in 12 hours, Rock turned Trump's image into comedic gold. He didn't stop there, targeting Trump's financial flops, 6 major bankruptcies, including Atlantic City casinos, and absurd moments like the 2019 Sharpie-altered hurricane map and 2017 eclipse stare. Google searches for Trump Sharpie spiked 300% in a day. Trump erupted on Truth Social, calling Rock disrespectful and not funny, but the internet disagreed, flooding platforms with memes. Melania Trump, caught in the crossfire, saw searches for her surge 450% as clips of her dodging Trump's hand went viral again. Rock's comedy became a cultural phenomenon, proving laughter can hit where it hurts. Trump's speech, Promises versus Reality. Washington, March 2025. Trump's latest speech promised to end inflation and slash taxes, claiming, "We'll provide 100% expensing for domestic production." Yet days later, the stock market tanked 1,300 points, and prices for food, building materials, and electronics climbed. His tariff policies and trade wars with Canada and China are driving inflation, not curbing it, an economic expert told national media. Trump also stunned the world with territorial ambitions, telling Congress, "We welcome Greenland into the U.S. for national and international security." Denmark's PM shot back, "Greenland is not for sale. Absurd." Trump doubled down, claiming the Panama Canal, fully Panamanian since 1999, was built by Americans for Americans. Panama condemned the remarks as a sovereignty violation, straining U.S. alliances. He vowed to dismantle bureaucracy, but then canceled a Verizon contract, handing it to Elon Musk's Starlink. Trump's eliminating unelected officials by empowering a tech billionaire, a commentator noted. Even conservative Dave Portnoy admitted, Musk's basically co-president now. Who's really running the show? The contradictions pile up, hinting at an unstable presidency.